Hi, I'm David Harry, and in this video I'm going to be testing the Aputure A.lav with a camcorder indoors. Okay, so the point of this particular video is to do a specific recording test, which is an indoor dialogue test with the Aputure A.lav and a camcorder. Now, this particular test will also be good for, say, other small camcorders or any device that's got a 3.5mm input, and that would cover things like, say, DSLRs and audio recorders. So as long as you've got a 3.5mm input, or you can get a 3.5mm through a converter into the mic input of, say, a camcorder, DSLR, or a recording device, this will give you a really good idea as like to the type of sound you would be expecting to get from this microphone indoors. The other thing that's kind of important with that as well is that you should be recording to an uncompressed format or an uncompressed audio format, which is exactly what I'm doing with this camcorder. If you start recording and using things like AAC or Dolby Digital, they're compression formats, so it'll kind of like impede the audio quality a little bit. So for the best results, always record using an uncompressed audio format. So like I say, this will give a really good indication as to how it should sound on, say, camcorder, DSLR, or recording device. Now, the only other thing after that you'd have to be a little bit aware of is the quality of the analog to digital conversion. On this camcorder, it actually has decent A to Ds on it. So as long as you've got like decent converters, again, the sound that you're hearing here should be comparable to most devices which is similar to this camcorder. Okay, so I've now took out the A.lav's power supply, and what's happening here is the A.lav is plugged direct into the camera, and the camera is supplying the voltage to the capsule. Now, I can actually do that with this camera because, like I said earlier, this particular camera does send out an electret voltage, and also an electret voltage is a very small amount of power and voltage to actually power electret capsules. So the capsules in your typical lav mic are very similar to a condenser in the fact that they require power, but they just don't need as much power as a typical condenser microphone does. So like I say, this is being powered directly by the Sony. Now, the only little drawback to this is due to the way that the wiring configuration is for this particular microphone, it only records onto the left channel of my input on the Sony. So as you're hearing this, I will already have rebalanced this into the center of the stereo field. So that's the only little drawback really of using like this particular microphone straight into this camera. Although that said, it's actually a pretty neat thing because you may be out and the actual power supply that comes for the A.lav may have run down on its power or its charge and discharged, in which case, rather than like not be able to use it, you could just throw it in and do exactly what I'm doing now. And just before we get on with the count and silence tests for the lav, I've just flipped over to the internal microphones for this Sony camcorder. Now, this is going to be quite typical of most camcorders similar to this one, in the fact that they're okay, the internal microphones, but because of the distance that I am here and the gain that's have to be applied to these mics in order to get a decent level out of them, you're going to hear a lot more of the room ambience going on as well. So it really doesn't stack up that well to any kind of microphone that's closer to your mouth. So like I say, this is just an indicator so we can see exactly or hear exactly how the internal microphones sound. And I won't include this in the count and the silence test because I think this is probably going to be a good enough example for us to see that it's not really anywhere near the same kind of tonal qualities of the lav system. So what I'll do now, I'll crack on with the count and the silence for the lav, and then I'll come back for the summary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so to the summary then. As you've heard there during them particular tests, we've heard the microphone in two separate setups, one with its own power and one with the power being supplied by the camera. And there are a couple of differences in there between them. There is slight tonality changes in them, maybe slight sensitivity changes as well. But like I've kind of said on some of the other videos that I've done with this microphone, I'm not gonna kind of like lean one way or the other with regard to them differences. And the only reason for that is because regardless of which way you use it, it actually sounds really good. And especially considering, you know, they cost about £30. So you're not paying like a ton of money for one of these. And that's again another reason why I wouldn't kind of like lean one way or the other with you know, with the way that them results were, because like I say, both ways it actually does produce a very decent sound. So more importantly, what you should be doing is saying to yourself, well, you know, will you use it in one or the other way, or both of them even at times? And is it good enough for what you have in mind, the type of work that you want to do with it, the type of tone that it generates and stuff. So anyway, yeah, hopefully then that these tests here have been, you know, a fairly good kind of showpiece, and to show people exactly how this microphone sounds indoors with a camcorder. If you look at the descriptions below, I'll have some links where you can go and check them out and buy them. And also, towards the end of this video, there should be some pop-ups happen, which will point you to other versions of like videos to do with this microphone. And if you're on certain devices that don't have the pop-ups, I'll have in the descriptions, I'll have some links there as well. Okay, so I've tried to keep this video kind of as short as I possibly can without my usual tons of rambling, and keep it very focused to just one particular thing to do with the indoor test. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.